Hey folks, and welcome back to the show. Last time I talked to you all about how to really greatly reduce your satellite TV and cable TV costs. Well, this episode, I'm going to talk to you about something else. It's tangentially related, but it's pretty important. And that's how to reduce your internet costs. When was the last time you really took a good look at your monthly internet bill that comes in from your internet provider? And this week we're going to talk about owning equipment versus leasing your internet equipment on this week's For the Tech A Bit. Checking your monthly internet bill is very important. If you haven't done so in a while, please start taking a look at it. And what I want you to do is really pay close attention to any strange or odd charges that you're not exactly sure as to what they're for. Some of the internet service providers are notorious for tacking on certain taxes and other fees. And those fees could be anything from, the monthly rental costs for the equipment that they provide you with when they set you up with your internet access. It could be, installation charges, which usually that's a one-time charge when they come out to set things up, or other miscellaneous charges. And you definitely want to talk to them about those charges so that you're very clear and you understand the purpose of those charges and whether or not those are reoccurring charges on your bill. Now, the typical internet equipment that your internet service provider is going to set up in your home, especially if you're a cable internet subscriber, are your cable modem and your Wi-Fi router. Now, for those of you who may be on fiber optic service, like through AT&T or Verizon Fios or some other company, they'll typically set you up with what's called a fiber optic network terminal. And really, that device is functionally, it's very similar to a cable modem. And really what those devices do, they actually give your network, access to their network. Those are the devices that bridge your home or business with their internet service. The Wi-Fi router is the device that provides you with either wired or wireless access for your end devices like smart TVs, if you have a Roku, your laptops, iPads, desktop computers, phones, whatever. It gives those devices access to the internet. Now, the Wi-Fi router itself connects directly to the cable modem or to the fiber optic network terminal with a network cable. And that's how your network traffic is routed to the internet and back into your home. So what can be done to help me get these costs under control? Well, first and foremost, consider owning your own devices. Consider purchasing your own cable modem or your own fiber optical network terminal if it's even possible to do that, because usually if you're on a fiber service, you're generally stuck with whatever equipment the company provides you with. On the cable internet side, you have a greater number of options there. So let's make an assumption here. So let's assume you've looked at your internet bill and you see either a leasing or rental charge on that bill for like $10 a month. Well, that $10 a month times 12 months comes out to $120 a year that you're paying to essentially rent that equipment from the internet service provider. And at the end of the day, you'll never truly own that equipment. So as long as you have internet service with that company, you're going to be paying them a monthly rental fee. Now, what do you want to do? Contact your internet provider and have them provide you with a list of compatible cable modems that you can purchase just outright. Now, this is something they don't voluntarily tell you, but yes, most internet service providers, especially the cable ones, do allow for third-party cable modems to be connected to their network. And you can purchase these cable modems from Amazon, Walmart, directly from the manufacturer's website, eBay, you name it. Now, keep in mind, while you're doing this, your internet provider may come back with a few things, and I have a bulleted list here. They'll say stuff like, well, if you purchase the modem from them, then they'll be able to provide you with support if you have any connectivity issues. They may also tell you, well, if you also decide you want to purchase it from another company, then even though the device is certified to work on our network, if you run into connectivity issues, we're not going to be able to help you troubleshoot things with that device. And thirdly, they'll tell you, well, if you don't use our equipment, then you may lose your discount. Now, don't let all this stuff frighten you off, folks. Keep pressing forward. Keep asking them more questions. Now, what I have here, and I pulled this off the internet, and you can see Amazon and Walmart. These are three fairly popular cable modem providers. There's Netgear, there's Surfboard, who has the Aris devices, and Motorola. They're very, very common. Now, there are other companies, but I wanted to keep it down to a relatively short list. So have them, your internet provider, recommend a few different models for you to choose from. And support for greater speed is preferred. And let me explain to you what I'm talking about there. So depending on how much bandwidth you have currently or you're thinking about getting, let's say your internet provider has what's called an Internet 250 package. Now that number 250 is usually referring to the download speed, 250 megabits per second. And there are cable modems out there that are rated for 100 megabits, 200, 300, all the way up to a gigabit and higher. My recommendation to you is if you're looking at seriously purchasing a cable modem, try to get the one on the higher end of the speed spectrum, of the download speed spectrum, meaning if you have 300 megabits or you have that cable or Internet 250 package, rather than finding a cable modem that supports, let's say, 300 megabits or less, maybe take a look at the gigabit device. And I'm going to show you some price comparisons here in a moment to help you with that. Now, keep in mind that some internet providers might not have any third-party approved devices that they will allow you to use on their network. But you won't know that unless you ask. So earlier, I mentioned that shopping around for devices that support higher speeds is generally preferred. So let's take a look at this table that I created here. Now in this table, keep in mind I'm using really the Aris cable modems merely as an example, but this applies to other brands as well. Now let's say the internet package you currently have is listed as 250 megabits per second download with a 5 megabit per second upload. Essentially, that means that your download speed maxes out at right about 250 megabits per second, and your upload speed maxes out at 5 megabits per second. Now, I'll go into a bit more detail later on about bandwidth and speed, so just bear with me here for a moment. Now, looking at this data here in this table, I pulled this data directly from the company's website, surfboard.com. You'll see that there are two different cable modems listed here. Now keep in mind the company has many more models that you can choose from. The two main differences between the model SB6183 and the SB6190 are the price and the maximum download speed. Now both devices will easily support your current internet package, which we said earlier hypothetically is a 250 megabit down and 5 megabit up package. Now, what if your internet utilization changes such that you need to have faster internet speeds, right? You may be connecting more devices, or the amount of data that you're pulling from the internet is increasing, especially nowadays, with so many people having to work from home. The next tier up, however, from your current internet package may be what your internet provider calls a gigabit internet package. Well, looking at this table, the SB6183 will only support up to about 686 megabits per second, whereas the model SB6190 will support just over a gigabit. So while you're shopping around, it makes sense to spend a little bit more if you can afford to. And in this case, it's really the price difference is only like $19 more, to where you can just buy the SB6190 and it will support, as I said earlier, just over a gigabit per second, 1.4 gigabits per second internet speed. So that's something to keep in mind, and take a look at that on the surfboard.com website. Something else you want to consider. You definitely want to shop around with the different cable modem vendors. Go to their websites and look for what are called certified refurbished cable modems, because if they offer them, you could save even more money, $20, $30 less than what you see for the new devices. And because it's directly from the manufacturer, they certify that the device is in perfect working condition, and they'll sell it to you at a really good discount. So that's something else to take a look at. Okay, bandwidth and speed. The two terms are often used interchangeably. I'm going to use what's known as the highway metaphor to help explain the difference between bandwidth and speed. Think of bandwidth as a type of highway or road in this example, and it's a two-lane road. One lane holds outbound traffic, which is traffic that's going from your home to a destination somewhere on the internet. The other side holds inbound traffic, traffic that's coming to your home from somewhere that's out on the internet. Now recall a few moments ago where we talked about you having a 250 megabit per second download speed and a 5 megabit per second upload speed. Well, inbound is the 250 megabit per second. Outbound is the 5 megabit per second. Going back to the highway metaphor, I stated that the bandwidth is, in this example, a two-lane road, whereas the speed is how fast the automobiles are traveling along that road. The 250 megabit per second is the maximum download speed limit on the inbound side, whereas the 5 megabit per second is the maximum upload speed limit on the outbound side. And just like with any highway, there is a point at which an increasing number of automobiles or data packets traveling along it will start to cause a traffic jam, or at very least a slowdown due to congestion. Think of each automobile as a packet of data. When you open a web browser and type a web address like www.yahoo.com, for example, and you submit it, there is one or more packets of data that you've just placed on the outbound lane of your two-lane road, with each of the data packets traveling at around 5 megabits per second. Now, once your request reaches the Yahoo web server, the web server then sends the web page back to your device by placing multiple packets of data on the inbound side of your two-lane road. And those packets are traveling at about 250 megabits per second. That's the download speed. Now, let's cause some congestion here. You then turn on your TV and you go to Netflix and you start streaming a movie. You've just placed more packets on the outbound lane, and Netflix is now sending back a slew of data packets on the inbound side, because always remember, video and audio requires data to be constantly streamed. Now, while you're doing all of that, and you're still browsing Yahoo and other web pages, and you're watching a Netflix movie, someone else in your home decides that they want to begin streaming a YouTube video. Even more data packets now are beginning to saturate your inbound connection until eventually you start noticing that your Netflix movie begins pausing and rebuffering. The quality of the video is getting poorer and poorer, and your ability to navigate the websites that you've been going to is taking longer and longer for the web page to update on your computer. Now, what's happening is the data packets on the inbound lane can only reach your home in sequential order because there's only one lane. And then those packets have to be routed. Remember we talked about Wi-Fi router earlier in the episode? Those packets have to be routed to the correct device. So it's like trying to drink a strawberry milkshake with a straw. If the straw is too narrow and the shake is really cold, then it takes longer for you to drink that shake, right? And if a big piece of strawberry gets sucked into the straw, your ability to drink the shake is even further hampered. Now, let's take a look at what happens when we double the bandwidth. Now, looking at this example on the right, now we've got a much larger highway with multiple lanes. And essentially what that means is you now have multiple lanes for your packets to travel along, both on the inbound side as well as on the outbound side. Not to mention, your internet provider has also upped the speed. So whereas you were getting maybe 250 megabits down and 5 up, you can now be getting 500 megabits down and 10 megabits up. So you're going to see data not only go outbound quicker, but come back quicker. So now you can have multiple devices streaming video, listening to music, browsing the internet, and you're not having to worry about all the rebuffering. You're not having to worry about the reduction in the quality of your video, so forth and so on. So hopefully that helps to explain, this whole idea of bandwidth and speed. Do your research. Find out which internet providers are in your area. Go to broadbandnow.com to calculate how much bandwidth you need. We didn't talk about that early in the show, so we're going to take a look at that website here. Look out for data caps, because those can end up costing you money for overages. And essentially, the data caps are used by the internet service providers to push the more heavy internet users to subscribe to a higher broadband package. Thus, you pay a little bit more money and they'll remove the data caps for you. Ask them about their equipment rental fees. Find out from them what third-party modems will work on their network so that you can shop around and buy your own. Remember to buy one that supports the higher bandwidths. Also, take a look at those that are certified refurbished because you can get some really great deals on those. Always, always, always check your monthly internet invoice and inquire about those charges that you truly don't understand. So finally, here we are on broadbandnow.com, and this is their speed calculator. It lets you check how much internet speed you'll actually need. Over here is their recommendation of the speed. So the website asks you a few basic questions. So the first question is, how many people in your household will be using the internet? And it defaults to 1. So let's plug in a number here. Let's say it's you and one other person. We'll click Next. Notice how the recommendation has gone from 3 megabits per second to 5. So we'll click Next. Now it asks, select the number of each device you use in your home. Smart TVs and streaming devices, game consoles, tablets, smartphones, laptops and desktops, and smart home devices like the Echo and the Google Home. All right, let's go through and pick a few things here. Streaming devices, well, let's see. I've got 2 smart TVs. I have, let's say, 1 Xbox. So I'll put 1 there. Again, keep an eye on this recommendation. I've got 2 smartphones. We'll add an iPad, let's say. There are 2 laptops. And we've got a couple of Google Home devices. So we're at 19 megabits per second now. How frequently do you use each device? Well, we're watching TV daily. The smartphones will connect probably weekly. Laptops, daily. Game consoles, weekly. We'll say daily. Tablets are daily. Smart devices, weekly. Does your household frequently stream videos on multiple devices at once? Most definitely. How many devices? I'll say 2 or 3. Does your household stream at 4K? Oh, most definitely. And would you consider your household a heavy internet user? Well, I guess we're streaming a lot of video. I'm going to say yes. So show my result. Based on your internet usage, we recommend a speed of at least 123 megabits per second. Now this gives you a starting point, folks. This gives you a starting point. So when you're talking to your internet service provider, take a look at the different packages they offer. Make sure you look at a package that's not going to have the data caps unless you're absolutely certain you're not going to go over that data cap limit, because they will rake you over the coals in terms of charges if you go over that data cap limit. So this is a base. You can enter your zip code here, click search, and it'll show you a list of internet service providers in your areas. And you can click on those and do your shopping that way. But I did want to show you this. It's broadbandnow.com, and this is their bandwidth calculator. So until next time, see you later.